The New York Stock Exchange has moved to be, or has temporarily closed its trading floor due to the coronavirus pandemic. The exchange has moved to all electronic trading. Our own Kristen Scholler is standing by with more. Kristen, take it away.
Good afternoon, Nora. That's right. It's something that has never happened before, that the floor has been closed while the public markets remain open. Joining me now is Stacey Cunningham, president of the New York Stock Exchange. Stacey, I'm so glad that you could join me, perhaps from your own personal location away from the office. But this is the fastest bear market plunge that we have seen in history. Should investors trust the markets?
I think, Kristen, is certainly the market sell-off has been very, very dramatic, and I completely am sympathetic to the concerns investors have about seeing that sell-off. But at the same time, the markets are functioning appropriately, so they should focus on the fundamentals, focus on the long term. And if you're a long-term investor, you can navigate this period of volatility by better off by sitting on the sidelines right now if you're and waiting for the market to recover.
So for about a week and a half now, we know traders have moved to work remotely and trade electronically, the ones that are usually on the floor. Have there been any issues with that trading process since the move to work electronically last Monday?
Kristen, we operate a number of exchanges, five equity exchanges, and 4 out of those 5 are fully electronic every day, all day long. So the fact that the New York Stock Exchange leverages both a combination of technology and human judgment and human trading is unique among our exchanges as well. And so that trading transition to 100% electronic without any issues. Our customers test that process with us throughout time, throughout the year, each year. And so that went off as designed, and it wasn't an issue. Keep in mind, it's not just our trading floor that has shifted. So many of the banks and our customers have trading floors themselves where many of those traders are trading remotely. So I really think it's a testament to the industry that we were able to disperse our workforce into locations all around the city and continue to operate, and the markets continue to operate. I think that's a testament to the resiliency of each of our all of our employees and our IT teams that have made that possible and were prepared for a moment like this.
Stacey, do you intend to reopen the floor of the stock exchange to equity traders?
We will absolutely reopen the floor of the stock exchange. The combination of human judgment with sophisticated technology is really why stocks on the New York Stock Exchange trade better. And so we'll go back to providing that full level of service as soon as it's safe to do so. There are so many businesses right now that have minimized their service offerings, like restaurants that are offering takeout and delivery, but close their dining rooms. We're in a similar situation where we have a more complete service offering, and we'll get it back online just as soon as we can, once it's safe for people to re-enter the building.
Is there a date that you're targeting as a goal to reopen the floor to traders?
There isn't a specific date right now. And part of that is this situation is evolving so quickly. And our goal is to make sure that not only is our community safe and their communities at home safe, but that we're helping to stop the spread. Our healthcare workers are on the front lines. All of the people that are in stores selling essentials are on the front lines. Those that are delivering food to people staying at home are on the front lines. We don't want to make their jobs any harder. So if we can pull people out of New York City and off the streets and get them to stay home, we're going to do that. So it's going to take a little bit more time for us to get a sense of when this situation is under control. And at that point in time, we can start to make plans around reopen. We can start to announce plans around reopening and what that'll look like.
Are there certain metrics or checklist items that need to be knocked off in order for the floor to be reopened?
It really comes down to keeping people safe. If you look at what has happened over the past few weeks with respect to progress, it's really astounding. Companies like Johnson & Johnson testing lead vaccine candidates, companies like Abbott testing, putting 5-minute tests out in the market. There are so many different companies that are producing ventilators, producing new testing tools, and really converting their businesses. I mean, I mentioned ventilators. GM and Ford turned their manufacturing plants into ventilator producing plants. We've had other companies creating personal protective gear. There are so many things that are happening right now, but those tests are a big part of what will play into our reopening is what can we give, what tools will we have to ensure that we can keep people safe coming back into the building. And certainly testing is a big part of that, and the protections that we would need from a medical standpoint so that we were not contributing to the challenge and the spread.
You've been a big proponent of keeping the public markets open for trade despite the volatility and a huge plunge of double digits that we saw in the stock market just in a course of a few days. Is there any case scenario where it would be the right decision to close our public financial markets?
Kristen, our markets are a promise. You don't guarantee that you're going to get prices that you like, but you guarantee you can get your money back out, right? I mean, so we can't close the markets, and there are so many reasons why. It's not just one reason. Frankly, closing the markets would not change the underlying conditions that are putting pressure on the markets. If investors are nervous, that's what we're seeing in the markets. We're seeing the public sentiment. The markets don't actually reflect how the economy is performing. They're reflecting what the public thinks of how the economy is performing. And that reflection is really an important tool. That's a tool that's been used by the government as they've come together in a really remarkable united fashion, bipartisan fashion, to pass stimulus packages, to introduce measures to help find solutions. And I think part of the reason why it's been such a united effort was because everybody could see the anxiety, and they could see it just by looking at how the market was reacting. But most importantly, the reason we can't close the markets is people need access to their money. And if you have your money invested in the stock market and you find yourself in a situation right now where you're out of a job and you need access to those dollars, we cannot close the market. We can, and we have, take precautions to have a well thought out, designed response to a market sell-off. And that's what the market-wide circuit breakers are. We'll continue to evolve those and look for ways to make them even stronger, but that needs to be our solution instead of a market sell-off and a market closure. And there isn't anyone that I've spoken to in the government or with our regulators that is considering a market closure. Everyone agrees that it would be the wrong move for the United States. That doesn't mean we're unsympathetic to the fact that the prices are dramatic, and there has been very swift moves both to the downside and the upside, and we are very sympathetic to that. But closing the market doesn't change that.
Stacey, how have you been doing throughout this process, and has your day job changed at all?
Well, I'm certainly not used to sitting in my home day to day, and it's certainly been an evolving landscape when you're part of an organization that is so used to being not only in the office, but very often in many of our employees in 11 Wall Street. But we're part of a global company, and we have that company now almost entirely working remotely, as so many companies do. That's been a shift. And you look for tools that you can implement so that your employees feel more connected, and so that we would do more regular, very brief meetings to get in touch with people. That certainly changed how we communicate when we're not all in the same place. But yeah, I think the industry broadly should be very proud of how we've risen to this challenge. What we do is come together to fight crisis, and that's really what's critical and what's important. I'm very proud of our team. I'm very proud of our technology teams who were prepared for this. I'm very proud of our community of listed companies who are doing remarkable things to help fight the spread of COVID-19. We're highlighting their efforts. We have a website up where we're just continue to update it with how many different things people are doing to help fight this battle. And I'm so grateful. The gratitude to the healthcare workers and all of those on the front lines is very deep throughout our organization, because those are the people that are fighting this one. And I understand that they must have some anxiety getting up and going out in the morning, and we're all going to do our part to keep them safe and give them our support.
Stacey, I'm glad you are staying safe, and I hope to see you back down on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange soon.
I promise to see you back on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, Kristen.
Okay, good. All right, that is Stacey Cunningham, president of the New York Stock Exchange. Thanks again.
Thanks.
All right, Nora, I'm going to send it back over to you. You're actually pretty close to the New York Stock Exchange, aren't you, down there in the financial district?
That's right. I'm just about a block and a half away. I can see it out my window. But great interview there, Kristen, with Stacey Cunningham.